seeing his path of,
and bringing a camera.
and bringing a camera with my brother.
Your brother's
My
going to be
brother's
the camera?
coming. My brother's being the camera.
Oh, so just the three of you.
Well, his
And I guess that's the next question. What's your brother's relationship with your dad?
well, my brother he's my half brother, so he
Okay.
has no connection to my dad.
Okay.
But in a larger sense, I really want to see how I want family and relatedness to be super important.
Yeah.
And him being there with me, sharing this experience with me, just makes us more connected.
Yeah,
I'm
of
so
course.
if there's anyone I would want to be there doing this with me, it's him.
Yeah.
So my dad's wife is coming and my brother's fiance, so we're all kind of this unit.
Oh my God, that is amazing.
But
and so you're retracing the steps, but you're talking about this as hope. I saw on your Instagram you made this video this morning, or maybe it was in the middle of the night. But which, by the way, you can follow Kevin. He's on Instagram and Twitter and everything. Kevin Stea, Stea. But you posted a video this morning. I was wondering what it was all about. I actually was wondering if it was some other organization you were part of. But it's your project.
It's my project. And what I realized in kind of going over this and seeing what it could become, I realized that it's really about taking action, and that it's never too late to create something, even when you think it's impossible. Like, I would think that, it's easy to think that, my dad and I would never have this like close relationship. And I'd never heard him laugh until that night that I had him, that I told him, let's make a relationship.
Yeah.
I'd never heard him tell a joke at all, and suddenly he's this funny, amazing, lively guy. And my project really is,
because you had always only known him as sad.
I'd only known him as sad, and suddenly he had this freedom to just be himself, and he's a wonderful guy, and I had no idea, and I never would have known if I hadn't taken that step.
Yeah.
So the bigger project here is about family and relatedness and crossing all these divides.
And reminding, just like what we've just been talking about, reminding the child that the child has just as much of a responsibility, especially once you reach of a certain age. The child has just as much of a responsibility in getting to know their parents as all of the pressure that they've put on their parents to get to know them.
Absolutely. And I feel like the overall project, like, it's an experiment. Like, I don't know how to become related to somebody, but I know it's possible.
Yeah.
And I know there's things I can do to make us be more loving. Like, not like it's fixing anything, but like more, like bigger, greater, more incredible love.
Yeah.
And I want to leave this life with no regrets. I want him to like pass on happy, knowing that he's loved and knowing that his son has done everything he can to know him. And I want others to watch and share this journey with me as I explore how do you become related to somebody that's already your dad or your mom. Like, there's more to do and more to experience.
Because it's not just, I'm going to be totally clear here. I mean, your dad can essentially be like a sperm sprinkler. That's a term I've used before. You know what I mean? Where it's just kind of like I hate to break it to you, but I break it to anybody. But that's sort of one of the problems in the world is just because straight people can get together one night over a bottle of tequila and make a baby, that doesn't make them parents. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't create a bond. And what creates the bond is love, communication, respect, trust, all of those things. That's a relationship. And so just because somebody gave birth to me, or just because somebody planted their seed, that doesn't make them a parent. That doesn't form a relationship. And I know a lot of parents will take that on and be like, well, you know what? I brought you into this earth, so we have a relationship. You owe me. Right. And you're kind of like, I mean, you hear this all the time. It's like, what do I owe you for? I didn't ask to be here.
Yeah.
I wasn't. You did it with that bottle of tequila. I did it. This wasn't my doing. But it's the relationship is so key, and I love this idea because obviously it's resonating with me. Just the idea that the child has just as much responsibility in getting to know their parent, but it just has to do with the sort of the hierarchy from when we're born. Have you ever taken the time to really get to know like your grandparents or your parents?
This is a very fascinating piece of dialogue, and I actually will very much want to watch your documentary, Kevin, when it comes out. My father recently said at a wedding, which I really appreciated, that we don't so much have a family tree as we have a family forest, because of a lot of interesting relationships and decisions made over the past years. And so I have actually enjoyed, as an adult, getting to really understand and redefine and make, for example, totally tangentially, I grew up raised very Roman Catholic, but it was not an identity for me. It was a prescription of faith. And so I ran away from the church because I was like, when it came to confirmation, you have to take on a confirmation name, a saint's name. And I wanted to take on Judas. Partly to be snarky because I was a snarky 16-year-old, but also because St. Jude is the patron saint of lost souls. And at that time, I dealt with a lot of suicide and depression and a lot of friends that were lost, and I was lost. And I had a lot of identity wrapped up in the church, and priest and my mom would not allow that to happen. Would not allow that to happen. And so instead I became St. Anthony, which is the patron saint of lost things. So it's great that I can find my iPhone when I lose it, but I can't help a homeless person. And so what's interesting though now is today my mom will occasionally give me relics from St. Jude. It's kind of recognizing, oops, that was a mistake in parenting. I'm sorry about that. And so I don't know where I am on my spiritual path, but the church has come back to me a lot of times in life that it's my decision, it's my definition, it becomes my choice in how I engage. And that is just a larger way of looking at how I have treated family, particularly in the last 2 years, 3 years, where I've begun to make the decision of how I, like Kevin's saying, no, I want to sit down with both of you. Yeah. I've never thought that was possible. I didn't know that was missing, but that's what I want and that's what I need, and I deserve to be able to ask for that. And so that's the family I want to have. I want to go to China and know my roots. That's perfectly reasonable, and I'm going to ask for it. Yeah. And that's been my journey the last couple of years with family, is starting to really go, these are my siblings. These are my siblings. Like, I didn't ask them to be my siblings. These are my siblings. So someone else made a decision for these to be my siblings. So God damn it, I'm going to treat them like my siblings. They're going to be in my life, and I'm going to engage with them, and I'm going to invite them to California. I'm going to invite them into my home. I'm going to go travel to their things and be participating in their life. And if they try to run away from me or are not ready for that, that's fine. But I'm going to keep reminding them I'm here and I'm waiting. And the same is true with grandparents, where I've started to really connect with my grandparents on, as silly as it is, like emailing articles back and forth with my grandmother recently, because she's very caught up. She's a scientist, and she gets very caught up in the gender politics of the science community, which I understand is kind of a little boys' club, even though it is kind of progressing slowly but surely. But in the entertainment industry, particularly the digital world, there's a remarkable number of female CEOs and a remarkable number of powerful women in this community, especially in this era of digital content. And so I'm constantly sharing these articles and profiles and stories of these remarkable women that are in my industry, and just being like, hey, just so you know, like, I understand sexism is a lifelong battle that you've experienced. Let me give you a window into where there is a little bit more progression in something that I deal with every single day. And that's been a way for us to bond and chat and debate.
And give back to your parents.
And give back. That's so... Kevin, so tell people how they can get involved and help you get this documentary made.
Go to Indiegogo.com, and the project is called Great Walls.
Oh. And
the idea is that I want to really observe all the different things that separate us. The Great Wall was built to separate two cultures, the Mongols from the Chinese, and it's been very successful. And as I started looking at our relationship, I realized, wow, there's all sorts of things that are in the way. Besides distance and time, there's religion, the ages and sexuality and family and I mean, even just the language alone. Like, I have a hard time even understanding him half the time. It's quite funny, but I'm like, okay, you're my dad. I can't understand what you're saying. But I want to really observe and be courageous about it. And I realize that these things haven't been talked about, even especially, sexuality. Like, I haven't talked about that with Dad. How uncomfortable, but I want to be uncomfortable. How am I going to get to know somebody if I'm not willing to be uncomfortable? Yeah. I'm willing to be uncomfortable.
Which I just love that. Yeah. I love the whole thing. And let's also talk really quickly. Music. Let's talk what's going on with That Rogue Romeo and your music stuff. What's going on? What's all going on there?
Well, That Rogue Romeo, I shot a video last year for my ballad, Last Dance. And it's a very effects-laden, minimalist, but effects-laden project. And it's coming out fairly soon. But it's my favorite song on the album. And that one, it's pretty groundbreaking. So that one is very heartfelt and dear to me. That's the one song that I wrote the lyrics before the music. because I knew what I wanted to say, and I knew how I wanted to say it, and it had to be said. And speaking of exes, that that was something I just had to tell, had to say out loud and communicate that. So this is probably the most important one for me.
And where can people get that?
Well, not yet, but it will. You can always go to thatrogueromeo.com. All my music is there. My first album, Machine and Magic, and the remix album, Rebuilt, which is a great deal with 19 tracks at $10. But yeah, it's all about getting your music heard, right? So I'm not like going to charge $1 million if I want people to hear my music. Like value for money.
Greg just asked the name of the song, and it's called Last Dance.
Last Dance.
Last Dance. And I also want to ask you really quickly, because again, I love following you on Instagram. You're always posting dance videos. Is that just at your gym? Is that it's a class you're teaching?
No,
what is
that?
That?
That's not even the stuff I teach. That's just me taking class at the gym, and it's always easy because there's usually a little time afterwards, and they let me film. Other dance studios and stuff are a little more restrictive. I could probably get away with filming something, but there's usually another.
Because I always like there's somebody in the way back, like on a treadmill or an elliptical or something. So I'm like, it's not a dance studio, but they're like dancing right out in the middle in the open of everybody. But I love watching it because I'm always like, I just want to go dance with them or just go sit and watch them dance.
Well, I enjoy that space because it's not like you're not having a show. Even though there's people watching, it's not like a dance studio where people standing in the window watching what you wear and making opinions about so-and-so is better than so-and-so. It's not like, the mom peanut gallery in the corner.
Well, because it looks like you're more exercising and having fun as opposed to rehearsing for, an upcoming tour or something.
I dance to have fun and be with my friends and family.
Well, you're such an incredible dancer. Do you mind? We have to get pepper mache in here. Do you have anywhere to go, or do you want to stick with us?
Let's do it.
Okay, then.
Mache.
Everybody out there, if you're listening, which I appreciate, and you want to call in and say hi, we're at 323-284-7826. We're about to bring in Pepper Mache, but if you want to, you can tweet. I'm at the Baub Show, BAUB. Brendan's at Brendan A. Bradley, and Kevin is at Kevin Stea, STEA. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back.